Welcome everyone. We'll start soon. Okay, so good evening everyone. Jagrati Foundation welcomes all of you all for our career series. So as you all know that we've been going on with our career series from almost 4 days now, and this is our fifth session. So I'll just give a quick recap what all we had discussed during this journey, and I'm really grateful that all of you could come join us again. So in the first session, we had discussed about career planning and preparation with Mr. Gavish Trehan and Ms. Nishta. And in the second session, we had discussed about information relating to colleges, admission, and other processes with Ms. Pooja Kaushik. And in the third session, we had discussed about covering issues faced during the journey of one's own career. And we tried to came up with clarity. And in this session, if you remember, we discussed about Ms. Hanika Khulda's concept of de-addiction and how we've been facing all of that, like mobiles and all, like in relation to that. So, and in yesterday's session or the fourth session, we had discussed about career in psychology by Ms. Nishta. And now we welcome you all for this fifth session, which is about career in abroad or other education opportunities. And this will be our last series for now. And I welcome each one of you all. So like before we start, I'd just like to mention just one quick thing is that before this series began, what we had in mind was that students are often confused as to what to choose in their future, right? For example, well, I'll give you my example. When I was in class 10th, I was very confused as to what streams should I choose. And then came 12th, I was again very confused as to what college should I go to. Then came my college, and now I'm about to graduate, and then you know all of these issues which we face. So I think that this was our prime motive for which we started this career series. So and if you've got any question to ask us, you can ask us in the chat window below, and you can message me question, and I'll share that question to the host. All of these questions which will be asked now and which were also asked during the registration form will be asked after the speaker. So and I am also sending the feedback form which I would like all of you to fill. In this feedback form, you all could give us information like about how you liked the the session, or if you've got any future suggestions for us. So like I'll start off with our speaker. So like our speaker for today is Mr. Priyank Sharma. Mr. Priyank Sharma is a former consultant at Educode Services. He is the founder of uh, metroakin.in. He has been associated with the field of engineering, social services, counseling, education. Presently, he is in NEUPA and has completed his doctorate of philosophy. He has presented many research papers and counseled thousands of students for studying abroad, admission process, selection of universities, funds and scholarship, etc. He has been alumni of TIS, NCRT, and NIT. So I welcome you, Mr. Priyank, and over to you.
Thank you, Shubham. Thank you so much for your kind words. First of all, am I audible to everyone?
Yes,
Or
you are, Priyank.
maybe I should rephrase the question. Is there anyone who is not able to hear me? You can just put that in the chat window. Whom are we good to go?
Yeah, sure, Priyank.
All right. See, first of all, what I'll try to do is I'll try to cover a very briefly, the whole aspect of abroad education. The idea is to give you a brief overview. I'm not going to go into details. I'll give you a brief overview, and I would like to have as many questions as possible. Since the session is earmarked as 40 minutes, I'll try to cover up my content as early as possible, and then we'll take the question. All right. Shum, can you start the PPT?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, just to give you a background, who am I? So, just to tell you that how credible the person in front of you is. I'm an engineer from NIT Jalandhar. Post that I worked for a year in the corporate, and then I went out to do social work from Tata Institute of Social Sciences. I did a diploma course in guidance and counseling from NCRT, and currently I'm an MPhil student at NUPA, where I'm also registered as a doctorate student. I had a couple of offers from universities in the USA for my PhD, but due to this COVID-19 thing, the financial situation has become a little bleak, so I'm not going forward with it. So next, Shubham.
Yeah, sure.
All right. First of all, I have prepared this presentation with the idea that whoever is currently looking at this presentation is looking at undergraduate options. Is there anyone in the audience who is looking for graduate or PhD options? I will not be covering it right now, but you can definitely come in the chat option and tell me that if there's someone who is looking for graduate and PhD options, then we can discuss that too. Next. Okay, I think this is something which all of us know. Why do we go to another country for higher studies? So, the current education system in India is not prolific in that sense. We have better education opportunities outside. There are better employment prospects. And also, if you look at the diversity, if you want to experience something new culturally and socially, you would want to have a different experience in a different country. Networking is one of the strongest tool today. If you have good network, it is obvious that you will have, very certain and wonderful future. Lastly, about the personality, even if you want to grow as a person, it is definite to have a degree abroad. Next. All right. So how do you go about it? The first question is, if you're looking at a higher education prospect in a country abroad, how do you go about it? What is the first question that comes to your mind? So a lot of students, what mistakes they do is they go for the universities first. I would suggest you have to look at the country first. you know there is there is different ways in different countries work. So if you're talking about the admission process of USA, it is very different from the admission process of UK, or let's say Switzerland, or so let's say France or Germany. So different countries have different processes to get into their universities. So, you know if you get started, first thing is you have to have high academics. There's no substitute to high academics. A lot of students, if you want to get into a good university, it is a benchmark that you have to have good marks in your 10th or your 12th standard. That is something which you cannot do away with. It is not like if you have lower marks you cannot go abroad. You definitely can, but according to your marks, some universities at the top will not be accessible to you. So it is good marks is a prerequisite for a better university. Then you select the country, and there are a lot of entrance exams which we'll be talking in the subsequent slides what entrance exams are. And then you select what course you want to get into. Different courses have different criteria. So if you, like, for example, if you are going to the US, the way a design course works is different from how a science course works. You might not have a very good score in your entrance exam. If you're going for a design course, they might not want an entrance exam result. But if you're going for a science or math course, you would need an entrance exam score. Next. Okay, this is not the exhaustive list, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of the destinations which you can look into. USA is one of the most in demand country. Why? Because of the diversity and the kind of education system they have. Comes very next to USA. It is growing exponentially currently, but it has very good options in terms of having graduate and undergraduate plans. Next, Canada. Canada near to USA. Canada works in tandem with USA. If you see the admission process, it is more or less same. There's some differences, but again, it works in the same way as US works. So if there is a trade-off, you can get into a middle level college in USA, or you can get into a top level college in Canada. So which a trade-off a lot of students want to explore. Next, Australia, again a much anticipated destination. Germany for certain courses like labor, manufacturing, engineering, and etc. Singapore coming in big way. There are two universities in Singapore which are well renowned. It is near to India, so there are students, there are parents who don't want to send their child far, so they won't prefer a destination like Singapore. Ireland, Ireland is one country which is called the next Silicon Valley. So if you are into computer science and stuff, this is the country you should look up to, because USA again it is getting, with every passing day it is getting tougher to get in. New Zealand, again one very renowned University of Auckland. Switzerland is known for its hospitality industry, and Hong Kong has really good offers. A lot of people don't prefer it because of the tension between Hong Kong and China, but again it is near to India and has some really lucrative options. Next.
This is the next slide, Priyank, about exams.
Yeah, exams. So I'll give you a brief idea about exams. What are the exams you should look at when you are going for a undergraduate studies? This is for an undergraduate study. There are two exams which are last at the postgraduate, but I'll briefly first talk about the undergraduate study. So if you just passed out a 12th standard and want to explore your undergraduate study in US particularly, there are two entrance exams, SAT and ACT. SAT is Scholastic Aptitude Test. It is marked on 1600. So basically it is a test of math and English. So in India, for example, if you want to get into engineering, there is JEE, you have to write it. And there's physics, chemistry, math for getting into any engineering institute, coveted engineering institute. Similarly, for most of the universities, colleges in the US, if you want to get into an undergraduate degree, there are two exams which you can give. Both have equal considerations. How they are different, I'll just tell you. See, SAT is an exam. If you are good at solving tougher problems, then you can go for SAT. ACT is more about speed. So if you are, it will, the questions will be easier, but there will be a lot of questions. So if you are good at solving questions fast, math question, English questions, then you might go for ACT. And SAT, if you are good at complex questions, but you need some time to solve it. So that is when you go for SAT. What is a good score in SAT? So if you see, it is 800 English and 800 math, total 1600. 1400 is considered as a good score in SAT exam. I am not saying it is a top-notch score. If you're aiming for a Ivy League university, you should definitely get a score of 1500 plus. Even if you're getting a 1300 plus score, it is considered as a good score. I'm not denying that, but anything below is again a trade-off. ACT is scored out of 36. Anything above 30 is a good score, but if the more higher you get, if you get 33, 34, 35, it is considered as a really, really good score. Again, ACT has 4 sections. Apart from one section is English, math, writing, and there's also a science section. You should not get confused about the science section. It is not about science. It has a paragraph of science that basically tests English only, but it is paragraph related to science. Next, we'll talk about 2 internationally accepted English qualifying exams. So if you're going to a country abroad, they definitely want to know whether you have some level of English proficiency. So there are 2 exams for it. One is TOEFL, another one is IELTS. This is apart. This is irrespective of the country. For example, SAT and ACT are particularly for the US. If you want to go to Canada, UK, or let's say New Zealand, Germany, wherever you want to go, you don't need a SAT and ACT. It is particular to the US that SAT and ACT are required. But if you want to go to any country, or let's say most of the countries, you will need an English proficiency exam result, either TOEFL or IELTS. TOEFL is one exam which is more preferred in the US, and IELTS is an exam which is more preferred in the UK. TOEFL is scored out of 120. There are 4 sections. In both IELTS and TOEFL, there are 4 sections: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And out of 120, if you are getting a 3-digit score, it is considered as a very, very good score. And anything below is a trade-off. You will have to strike off some universities if you're getting a lower score or a higher score. It increases your chance. But it's a qualifying score. If you, for example, if you look at Harvard, Harvard will at the outset tell you that we don't need people who have a score less than 108 or 104. So it's a qualifying thing. If you are having, let's say, 110 score, you are eligible or have a profile to apply to any university across the globe. Next is IELTS. IELTS is scored out of 9. So out of 9, 8 is considered as a very, very good score. 7 is at par. 615 is fine. Anything below 6 is questionable. Next, we come to SAT subject test. So if you're applying to a science, let's say you want to do a BS science. In India, it is BSc, Bachelor of Science. We call it BSc. Physics, for example. In US, it is called as BS. So Bachelor of Science, Physics, for example. So if you're applying for a science core, whether it is physics, chemistry, or math, or anything related, you'll have to give in top university for sure, you'll have to give a SAT subject test. For example, Carnegie Mellon is a very, very renowned university in US for science subjects. It demands 2 SAT subject tests. So your proficiency will be tested in math as well as physics or chemistry. Whatever, any of these out of these 3 subjects, you can take any 2 subject tests. So you'll be tested there. So it is recommended you take at least, when you're applying to a top end university, you should apply to a math level 2 test and let's say physics or a chemistry SAT subject test. AP is a way of getting credits. Sorry, AP is marked out of 5. So AP again tests your subject knowledge. AP is advanced placement. So for example, if you're applying for BS Physics in Carnegie Mellon, let's say, and you go and give an AP exam of Mechanics C. So when you give an exam of Mechanics C and score a 4 or 5, so it is marked out of 5, you should at least have a score of 4. Less than 4, 3 is passing, but if you show a score of 3, it is not considered good. You should at least have a 4 and a 5 score. So if you're scoring a 4 and a 5, there are two benefits of it. One, the university will know that you are proficient in Mechanics C. Second, when you attend the university and you are going for the course of mechanics, you will not have to do it. That will be waived off. So that fee, every course has a fee there. That fee, you will not have to pay that fee. You will save that amount also, and it will also add to your application. One more thing, all these exams don't happen all the time. So if you just want to have an idea that AP happens, let's say once or twice in the year only, SAT has certain months where it happens. So you should just Google and try to figure out when these exams happen. So next, GRE and GMAT, two postgraduate exams. I just put it to let you know, give you an idea about post-graduation also. And particular to the US, these two exams. See, most of these exams, if you see, except TOEFL and IELTS, are particular to the US. US has a very, very diverse idea of entrance process. It is not just limited to one thing, and it takes and your score also, your extracurricular, everything. So US, all these exams except for TOEFL and IELTS, which are required everywhere across the globe. Other exams are particularly to the US. AP again is also considered in Canada also. GRE is is an exam which you give for masters. So if you want to go for an MS, let's say you have done your computer science engineering bachelor's BTech from any college in India, and you want to go for an MS in US, so you have to give a exam called as GRE. GRE is total out of 340. English and math, not very difficult. In out of 340, if you get a score of 320 plus, it's a wonderful score. If you get a score of 310 plus, it is fine score. But if you get a lower score, it is difficult. GMAT is exclusively for MBA. There are other places where GMAT is considered. I'm not saying that nobody takes in GMAT, but when you talk about postgraduate, you can keep all the courses aside and MBA aside. MBA is worked out differently across the globe. So GMAT is one exam which US universities demand when you want to apply for an MBA. All right, it is scored out of 800. Anything above 750 is a very, very good score. 700 plus is considered a good score. Below that, it is a little difficult. Next. Okay, so I'm giving you an idea about US and other countries. So specifically when we talk about US, for undergraduate study, SAT and ACT one exam is a must, except for lower end colleges, the colleges which are not ranked very high. One thing. Second, if you want to go into a design or creative course, understand this. For example, if then you might not give a SAT exam at all. If you apply to, for example, SCAD is a renowned college of fashion designing, then you need not give a SAT exam at all, because they will look at your portfolio. You will have to build a portfolio, what you have designed, if you've done paintings or whatever. So a portfolio is built, and that is showcased as your tool or a strength of doing that degree. TOEFL and IELTS required everywhere. English proficiency they'll test. Grades and marks. Now grades and marks, they will look at your class standing. So if you see the next point, it is letter of recommendation. What is letter of
Hello, Priyank, you there? Priyank? Am I audible, everyone?
then your professor or your teacher should be willing to write a wonderful letter of recommendation. Shubham, I've lost the PPT. Hello. Shubham? Shubham? Hello. Hello. Shubham, hello.
Yeah, Priyank. Sorry for the trouble. There were some internet connection issues from my side. Is the PPT visible now?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Next, we'll talk about intention experience. See, when you're applying to a US, understand this. US will look at your overall profile. It will look at your SAT score. It will look at your TOEFL score. It will look at your marks. It will look at your letter of recommendation, your experiences, your extracurriculars, your community work. So US believes not only doing good in the subject, but how you are giving it back to the community. So if you are, let's say, good in math, have you taught someone math? That is something. That is the way US look at your application. So US will look at your, if there is any entrepreneurial stints you have done, if there is any research you have done, if there is publication in your name, even if you are applying for undergraduate, there are people who go for publication. If you had, there are international Olympiads which you have attended, how good you have done there. So I had a student who was an international level player in shooting. He got into a very good school in the US and Canada. So he had credibility in sports though, but he went for a Bachelor of Business Administration. So though they are unrelated, but US will take it as an important point that you have done extremely well at an international platform, whatever that platform is. So if I give example of a girl who got selected in MIT, she had, of course, extraordinary marks, letter recommendation, SAT and TOEFL score. Apart from that, she had her own website where she has done extensive research that how India's education system is working. Next, she had YouTube videos of her playing Veena. So she was a player who had done shows across the country. So she had put in her YouTube links in the website. So if you are able to understand, though Veena playing has nothing to do with her going into an engineering course, it played an important role in for her to get into admission into MIT. So US looks at an over profile. Nobody else in the globe looks at your profile so comprehensively the way US looks at it. Next. So other countries, if mostly there's no SAT and ACT required, you will have your grade and marks, which are important. Your letter recommendations, TOEFL and IELTS, English proficiency, everyone will want it. They will want to see how much good you are at English because you are going to attend a university or a college whose primary medium of instruction is English. So they will definitely want to see how good your score in TOEFL or IELTS is, which is very important, especially for other countries. Intention experience, they will look at. If see, apart from that, if you see publication achievement number, they will add to your benefit, but they are not the thumbnail of your application. So if you have some extra experience, it will add to your benefit. But definitely, there is, when you're applying to other countries, your marks and LORs are very, very important. Next.
Is this the next slide, Priyank? Priyank? You there, Priyank?
It's a total lie because every country, every university works on a different way. If you're going to Harvard University, your expenses will be way higher than if you're going to a university like Georgia Tech. Though both are based in US, they'll have totally different tuition fees and totally different experiences. So first of all, you have to understand cost of attendance is not something which you can give a vague figure. Let's say 30 to 35 lakhs, 15 to 20 lakhs. Anybody can tell you that starting price is no less than 15 or let's say 30-35 lakhs per year. I'm talking about. So that is something which is possible, but you cannot have a definite amount unless you have the university and the course name which you are applying to. Next. Okay. Anyways, I think just go to the So if you want to know about the top universities, go to QS rankings. It is one of the most reliable portal where you can talk about, you can know about different universities. Some experience we have from Illinois, we can talk about different specializations. That is there. Last slide, please. Second last. Countries and hotspot destinations. Just have a look at all this. I have just earmarked different countries and why they are important. So example, USA, there is high demand. UK, there is for postgraduate, there are external scholarships. Canada, there is easy PR. So Canada, Australia, Ireland, these places are where people want to go because after your studies you can settle there. There is easy PR. Post work visa is 2 years. So these are easy targets. And I've just marked universities. I'm not going through all of them. Next. Last slide, if you want to reach out to me, this is my email ID. And I run a platform called mentoragain.in where we talk to students about their interests and we attach them to a mentor. For example, if you want to explore a design course or fashion course, let's say, and you want someone to guide you, so we attach your student to that, to someone in that field so that they can get easy mentorship. And that is it. Let's go to the questions now.
Yeah, sure, Priyank. Thank you so much for your information, Priyank. So as you all know that we often think that career in abroad might be expensive, but this may not often be so. So like coming to that question, the question is on scholarships, Priyank. What are the options available in regards to scholarships?
Which level are you talking about?
The
Undergraduate
person
level?
being, yeah, like I assume that the person might be in school right now, so I don't really know that. This question seems vague.
See,
So
when you talk about scholarships, US has a lot of scholarships institute level. So it is not like an external funded agency. And particularly if you are going for a design course, there are huge scholarships available. Science courses, you will not have a lot of scholarships. You can have a, let's say, $10,000 scholarship overall. But for a design course, I have had students who have got scholarships of even 35, 40 lakhs. That is possible. But those are institute level.
okay, yeah. So thank you so much, Priyank. So our
And I
next,
will also tell you,
yeah,
for everyone to know, I will also tell you about one college, which is Beria College, BEREA. It is one college which is accepting international students at undergraduate level and giving you full waiver on tuition, room, and board, which is not done anywhere across the globe.
so thank you so much, Priyank. So our next question is that I want to study abroad, but I think that it is too expensive.
See, it is. Nobody is saying that it is not, but again, it depends on the choice of your country. So if you want to go to US and Canada, again, very top destinations, but very expensive. UK again has a 3 year degree. Canada has a 4 year degree, but UK a little less, but again, it is very expensive. But how do you go about it is important. You know, some people, if they can't afford it, they go for a master's because it is not a good idea to take a loan and go for a undergraduate course. So if you want to go on something called like a loan or something, then it is preferable to go on a master's course so that you can also work there. After masters, there are better job opportunities in any country. So if you are someone who can't afford abroad education, I would prefer to go for a master's course than an undergraduate course.
Thank you so much, Priyank. So our next question is that I have done MBA but want to go for financing. How can I join in USA?
You're talking about job, or you want to talking about a course?
Uh, the course, the person wished to go for financing, but he has done MBA.
That is fine. MBA is also done in financing. So I don't know if the person has done MBA in which field, but if the person has done an MBA, you can have a job profile where you are into financing and then switch and try to get a offshore on-site opportunity and go to US or whichever place you want to.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Priyank. So our next question is that which exam is required if you want to do law from other country?
Okay, it depends on the country. Law and psychology are two subjects which work differently in different countries. So if you want to give one exam, it is called as LSAT. So if you look at LSAT, for example, the way SAT is, there's something called as LSAT. You should look at it in an exam given internationally for getting into a law degree. But again, you should always look at the way laws work in different countries. So the way you want to register in India will be different from the way you want to register in any other India, whether it is a lawyer or a psychologist. They work differently,
Yeah. So yeah.
and a doctor as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, sure, Grant. So the person is you mentioned a name of a college when you answered the first question on scholarships, a college. So the person wished to know about the name of that college which you mentioned.
That college is Berea, Berea. It is
BE.
the only
Hmm.
college in the US which is giving full tuition waiver and room and board expenses also. From next year, you'll have to save some money and give them, but it is menial. So you can look at it. It is a wonderful opportunity.
Sure, thank you so much, Priyank. The next question is that if I pursue my psychology from UK and then I want to come back to India, then what is the procedure? Do I need to give some exam or what is the criteria?
The UK works very similar to India, so you don't have to worry regarding UK. Apart from the postgraduate thing, so for undergraduate, UK also has three-year courses mostly. So it will work the way it works in India. But if you want to go for a postgraduate course, then UK has only 1 year course, master's courses, which are not considered as a master's in India. So if you are going to do a master's in psychology, for example, in UK, you will not be considered a master's in India. But for bachelor's, you can go ahead with it. There's no problem.
So thank you so much again, Priyank. So our next question is that what is the minimum budget to keep in mind for studying abroad?
That is why that slide was that there is no, I mean, for example, if you are going to Germany, for example, there is no tuition there. It will depend, it will vary extensively on the country, on the university and the course. So it is definitely difficult to point out a number. you know I would still say, if you really want a number, it can be anything 15, 20, 30, 35 lakhs anywhere. But again, it is not a bright idea to put a number unless you know the place, the country, the course, and the university.
Yeah, sure. Thank you again, Priyank. Our next question is that which board should I take in 11th and 12th if I pursue my career abroad?
Boards won't matter. Your class standing will matter. So remember, if you're even if you're from a state board and you're telling that I was the topper in that board. I was, let's say, if you get a 95% in CBSE, that is because CBSE is one board which is renowned across the globe. So if you're able to score a very high percentage in that board, that will definitely get credits. So try to outperform whichever board you're into, outperform in that place.
Yeah, sure. Thank you again, Priyank. Our next question is that what is the basic requirement for being into any abroad university?
I don't get that basic requirement. That's, and I think the whole PPT was about that. But see, it differs again from country to country. I am not exactly getting what you are asking. Basic requirement, what sense? You should have good marks, maybe good SAT score, letter recommendation, profile. Can you ask the person to ask the specific question? Be a little more specific.
The person just gave these many details. So I think that Priyank, with this we come to our end of this series, and I would like to thank everyone who could come for this. And I'll see like if our founder, Ms. Nishta Kungar, has something to say on this. So I invite Ms. Nishta Kungar.
Thank you, Shubham, and thank you, Priyank, for being a part of this Career Series 5. There were a few more questions which I have come up, and I have catered them. I'll give them back to Priyank, who will answer, and we'll be back to you. So thank you, Priyank, for being a part today, and I hope we have tried our level best by your support to serve the students and people who all were there, who came and then they were going and they were coming back with questions. So this question of the requirement was, I think, has been asked in between, because the person has come in between. So all of you can fill up this feedback form where your questions would be taken up and will be given to the speaker. If you have any query, anything regarding any question, you are most welcome for that, and we'll surely going to serve you. And also with this, we are ending up with our series, career series of 5 sessions, which we have taken up, and keeping in mind to provide you with all kind of information, knowledge related to what career is all about, how you can plan up, how you can focus specifically on one career, also the colleges you can can grab, and also viewpoint by wonderful speaker Priyank about the educational institutions you can take up in abroad. So thank you each one of you for being you can say a participant in webinars which we have conducted, and we'll surely be back with more career series. We have got lot many options, queries, and the topics which has been suggested by people to take up in upcoming series. So we are planning to start with career and commerce series first, where we'll be taking hotel management, your BBA, MBA one by one specifically. Thank you so much. Thank you once again for being the participant. And with this, I give this opportunity to Shubham to just end up and conclude. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Thank you again, everyone. This journey has been really amazing with all of you all, and I'm really glad that you all could come and hear us. So, like, as I'm saying again, like, I have attached the feedback form, and I would really appreciate if you could fill that form up. And if you've got any further question from us or any of our speakers, you can email us on jagriti01@gmail.com, at jagriti01@gmail.com. And you can also visit on our pages on Facebook, Insta, YouTube for further information and to stay updated on latest webinars which Jagriti Foundation is organizing for you. Thank you again everyone for coming. Yeah, it was nice.